9 MPs joined in the debate following Mr. Iswaran's half-hour statement on the topic. Leader of the Opposition, Pritam Singh, kicked off the discussion, questioning the size of government funding and its implications. He rose twice to seek clarifications.
Does the government aim to cap the grants it extends with the expectation that the CLG would also secure other sources of funding from the private sector, for example?
I would say that it's premature to specify the exact numbers that will go in regard to the government funding. Not because we are reluctant to talk about them, but it's simply because, first, this is still a matter before the shareholders of SPH. They have to decide whether they want to approve this. We fully expect the entity to seek out advertising revenue, circulation or subscription revenue, and other sources of funding. But we fully expect that government funding will be a component of that funding matrix for the CLG.
The question of why former PAP politician Khaw Boon Wan will become chairman of the new media entity was also raised.
I'm not questioning the personal integrity of Mr. Khaw, but the fact is that he is the former chairman of the People's Action Party. Does Minister not see this as a missed opportunity where someone else who is not so closely linked to the government could have been chosen to be the chair? Were any other candidates considered?
The nub of the question really is whether this creates problems from the point of view of editorial independence. Let's start with where we are today. SPH's current chairman is Dr. Lee Boon Yang, and he is a former cabinet minister. In SPH's history, they have had other chairpersons who have either been ex-senior civil servants or ex-cabinet ministers. MediaCorp's chairman today is an ex-senior civil servant. And yet we are where we are today in terms of the credibility of our media. What matters is not a perceived political hue in the appointments, but rather in the substance of the character and capability of the people who are involved.
On the topic of government funding, one MP asked if preserving vernacular papers will be a condition for that.
Will there be a mechanism to ensure that these vernacular newspapers, so important to our nation building, are explicitly retained?
Certainly, as I have said, we want to preserve the voice of our vernacular media, but they're not questions that the government should be answering, because ultimately we have to put it to the board, management, and for them to come back and tell us exactly what they have in mind, what are the pivots and changes, maybe even reinvention they envisage, and in that context then what we need to do or what we can do from the government to support them.